Welcome back to On Go. I'm Uda, and we are covering the Karmelo Anthony trial. And I wasn't able to make it to the trial for the first week, so I will be shadowing great content creators and independent journalists that are there at the trial. And right now we have Nique at Nite giving us an update on her first day at the trial, going into the potential jurors, going into the gag orders, maybe even some of what the judge is talking about. So we're going to get right back into it without no further ado. Make sure you're dropping a like. Make sure you're supporting the channel. Just hit the notification bells and make sure that you're notified when we're dropping new content. Let's get to it, y'all.
Early on into the case, the judge issued a gag order. He issued a very strict gag order to where Karmelo's family is not supposed to be making statements. The Metcalf family is not supposed to be making statements. The lawyers or anybody that is a witness of the case or involved are under a very strict gag order to where they cannot speak out. They cannot make interviews. They cannot talk about the case. So there are people who are trying to create, what they presume to be the truth. And it's disgusting. So we're going to stick to the facts and that alone. So let's get into some of the background for those of you guys who don't even know who Karmelo is, if you never heard of the case, if you don't know anything about it. So according to the police report of the case, a dispute breaks out over the seating arrangements under the tent. So basically what happened was there was a storm, and there was a storm at this track meet. It was around 10 a.m. at the David Q. Kendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas. It's the District 11 Track and Field Championship. It was a massive event, but the weather took a turn and it was heavy rain and thunderstorms. And they had like these tents set up where people can sit under the tents. So because of the storm, athletes were packing under whatever shelter they can find. And Karmelo Anthony, a standout student athlete and a team captain from Centennial High School, he ended up under another team's tent. But it wasn't his team's tent. It belonged to the Frisco Memorial High School tent. So inside that tent was Austin Metcalf, who was a junior and MVP linebacker for Memorial, along with his twin brother, Hunter. So according to the police report, it says a dispute broke out over the seating arrangements under the tent. Hunter Metcalf tells Anthony that he needs to leave their team's area. Austin steps in and a confrontation goes from 0 to 100 real quick. So it says witnesses say it was a rapid back and forth verbal argument. Per the affidavit, it says Anthony allegedly says, "Touch me and see what happens," while reaching his hand into his backpack. So clearly at this point, it's a storm happening. Okay, so it's not like he's just under a tent just because he wants to be under somebody's tent. There's a storm happening. It's raining. It's pouring outside. And Karmelo Anthony goes under a tent like, okay, I see a tent. Let me get some shelter. And according to the police report, the twin brothers of the other one was like giving the, "boy, you gonna get up out of here" rhetoric. And he basically was, standing his ground, and they got into an argument. So from that argument, things continued to escalate and go further. So it says, one of the witnesses say it was, like I said, a rapid, back and forth verbal argument. And that's when he said, "Touch me to see what happens," while reaching in his backpack. Austin pushes Anthony on the bleachers. Anthony responds, "Punch me and see what happens." Austin pushes him again to get him out the tent. Okay. In a split second, Anthony pulls a black knife from his backpack and stabs Austin once directly in the chest. Anthony flees the scene immediately while Austin runs down the bleachers, clutching his chest, shouting for help.
Sad situation, man. Sad situation. RIP to Austin. Austin Metcalf, condolences to his family as well. A situation that is just avoidable, and the storm that was happening at that time. You know, I doubt Carmelo was going there to be mean or just going over there to start trouble with the other team, the Frisco team. But everything went from 0 to 100 really, really quick. You know, we see that the brother was the one that really was having the altercation. Hunter was having the altercation with Carmelo, you know, and everything just went up very, very fast. You know, it's no winners in this case, man. You know what I mean? These are young guys. A life has been lost. One life, his freedom has been taken from him, and he will be tried as an adult. Carmelo will be tried as an adult, so you cannot use your cognizance of you being a child and your mindset of you being a child. So that's going to be very scary for Carmelo Anthony during this whole procedure, you know. So shout out to Nique and Nite for that little tidbit of an update on the case. But I do want to know, how was it going into the court? What was the judge's sentiments? What did the judge say? And what was the first day of court like? So let's get to that and see exactly how everything transpired throughout the day.
We go inside, they tell us we can sit anywhere because this was not the regular courtroom. The courtroom that we were in today was specifically an overflow room so that we can be able to see the judge or hear the audio of the jury selection. So we go in, and for the first half of the day, we hear nothing. There's nothing on the screen. We don't hear anything. Around 12 o'clock, we get movement. So at 12, the bailiff is like, oh, they turned on the screen. We see the judge. We hear the audio. So we rush back in. The particular person who had created certain narratives, they had left at that time. So they didn't see the judge speak. They didn't see the cameras turn on. They got their narrative, spent it whatever way, and got on. Those of us who were there to actually hear the facts and hear from the judge, we were there. We went inside and we listened to him, basically address the jury. Now, it was 600 people who came out to be pulled to see if they can be on the jury or not. And when we finally went in, they were saying that it was a 600 jury pool. The judge, on the screen, they had 3 monitors on. There was like a monitor up at the top, a monitor to the left, and then there was like a big projector all the way in the back of the courtroom.
Okay, so that's good to know, because I was wondering how was the layout, because during the Diddy trial that I covered, the Diddy trial for 40 days, it was like one screen in the courtroom. So everybody was kind of like, certain people were trying to get to the front, but we understand that there's an overhead screen, there's a screen to the right, and there's a projection. So that means everybody can see it, whether at the front of the court to the back of the court. I don't know how many people are going to be limited to getting inside the overflow room and how many overflow rooms they are going to open up during the trial when the trial actually starts. So that's also good information to know, Nique. Shout out to you for that. And we do know that that potential 600 jurors will be whittled down to about 250 and potential jurors. And then from there, they will go through the questionnaires and try to get the jury, you know what I mean, finite and limit it down to what it is, consolidated actually. So, but a big question is, can you get Karmelo Anthony a fair trial? And this is a question to anybody that's watching me now. Can you get him a fair trial? It's hard to pick unbiased jurors when everybody knows about this trial. It's a very highly publicized trial and case. And a lot of times people just want to be a part of trials like this, even though we know that people usually don't like jury selection. But when it comes to big cases and big trials, people know that they have potential notoriety that they could get. Some people want to do books. Some people want to write. Some people want to cover it on the back end. So all of those things are at play. Okay, so let's get back to Nique and see exactly what else transpired during the first day.
The judge, we see his court reporter, and then we can see his bailiff, but we were not able to see any of the jurors. We got to see the judge and the bailiff, but we were able to see like jurors there. Like before they went into that room, we saw like a sea of jurors, like, you know, going there, but we didn't see them on the screen when we went into the room, if that makes sense. All right. So anyways, so 12 o'clock, we go into the room. The judge, he goes up and he starts to address the, and are you guys still here? I don't know if so. The judge comes out, and when he comes out, he says, you know, hey guys, I got good news and I got bad news. All right. So he asked them what they wanted to hear first. He's like, hey, you know, do you want the bad news first or do you want the good news first? So he said, the bad news is you have to listen to me. And then he said, the good news is that I'm not going to have you guys here all day. So he started to kind of make like jokes, like banter with the jurors. And so he tells them like, you know, the importance of a jury system in the United States. So he asked the question and he says, why do we have a jury system in the United States? So after he said that, certain jurors started to answer. Now, again, we couldn't see which juror was answering, but one juror said, the reason why we have a jury system in the United States is because a right to a fair trial. Then another person blurted out, another juror blurted out, and they said, so that we can be able to be judged by our peers. So the judge said that the importance of a jury is to basically limit the power of government. So he went on and to basically give a speech about how the jury is the power, like the jury has the power. He said, you know, if he was like, a jury of my peers would be a bunch of lawyers, you know. He said, but, you know, why do you think we have this jury system where we have people who have no knowledge of like court or law? And he was just basically gauging the jury's knowledge of the importance of jury duty and why their duty is important. And so he kept going through like a list of different analogies on why jury duty is important. And then he said that jurors need to be fair and impartial and without bias. He said that the jury should not have bias or prejudice. He says that their job is to listen to the facts, you know, like listen to the facts of the case and not be biased, not be prejudiced, and just stick to the facts. And he said that his job as a judge was just to call the balls and strikes. He says, my job is to call the balls and strikes. And then he went into a big thing about social media. He talked about how there was a lot of misinformation on social media. He talked about there was a lot of like rumors and gossip, and he emphasized how he does not want them looking up anything on social media. He basically, in so many words, was saying that most of the stuff on social media is BS. Like, he didn't say it in those words, but he was basically saying, don't look like, it's normal judge speak to say not to look up social media, but he put emphasis like in so many words, like what you see is going to be bullshit anyways. He didn't say follow the law. I don't think that, I want to do my own thing. He expressed that, if you can't follow the law, then you need to do the honorable thing and recuse yourself. And he said that the rumors, gossip on social media is not evidence. And then one of the jurors, when he was talking about this, they brought up juror nullification. So a juror brought up juror notification, and he said, if you want to do that, take that somewhere else, like Venezuela. Because I think somebody mentioned like, oh, well, what about juror notification or something like that? And then he like made a joke like, oh, if you want to do that juror nullification, take that somewhere else, like Venezuela. He stressed that it is extremely important to not look up the facts of the case, do not talk to anybody about the case. And he threatened that he said, I am not jacking around. And he said, if I find out that you violate the rules, I can hold you in contempt of court up to 6 months in jail. And, you know, he got real serious. Like, he went from playful banter and, you know, having like this like jokes that he was like passing off and, you know, doing to like, he's like, okay, I'm going to let you guys go on a break. And then he got real serious. It was like a switch. I was like, oh, what?
Salute to Nique at Nite for that update. You know, I did want to know how is things going on inside the courtroom. She kind of takes her notes, like how I take my notes when I'm in that courtroom. I really write down exactly what I'm hearing in the courtroom, what I'm seeing visually in the courtroom, what I'm seeing outside. That's the type of notes I take. And I like to get exactly verbatim, word for word, what people are saying, whether they're witnesses, whether it's the judge, whether it's other things. I just like to try my best to get everything verbatim and not put my mind on it, because I really like to deal with facts, not my own thought, not because I think that Karmelo's a young Black guy and I don't think that he really went there with the intention to do that, because I do feel that, right? But I just like to get the actual facts, whether it be the prosecution side or the defense's side. So in my case, if I feel that the prosecution is cooking on a certain thing or they're cooking on a day, I would say that. If I think that the defense is cooking and they heating up, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to state that as well. But one thing I do take from Nique at Nite's coverage is that the judge is not playing. He's very serious. He's being strict. He does have a lighthearted approach to making the jurors as well as everybody feel comfortable there in the court, but he's also running a strict program. We've seen from Queen Sheba Darlings, they're strict outside the court. There's a lot of police activity outside. They're going all around the court and they're making sure that everything is kept on the up and up. So I do like to see that Judge John Roach is being very strict in these cases and in this way, most definitely stamping that 6-month contempt as well, to give people something to think about or something to fear, to know, do not be speaking to no one. Do not go and look up social media. Do not just try to put your own thought on this case and be as unbiased as you can, because it's hard to be unbiased. I've seen him slap down the social media to say a lot of the social media things that we're hearing on social media is BS. So don't take that, you know what I'm saying, as key, and don't take that as you know what I mean, as key, but just make sure you're listening to what is going on in the actual trial and in the actual case. I really, really appreciate that from Judge John Roach. So he seems very serious, and I like that. I most definitely like that, because it's hard to find unbiased jurors, especially with big cases like this, high heated like racial cases like this as well, where people are going to have their own bias. People are going to say what they think, they feel already. You know what I'm saying? They feel things about this case already, whether they want to say it. They feel things about this case. And the crazy thing is that out of those 600 people, a lot of people already know what they feel about this trial. They may act like they don't, but they actually know, whether right now before the trial starts, whether they think that Karmelo's guilty or Karmelo's innocent. So again, what is a fair trial? Do you think that Karmelo can get a fair trial? What is your thoughts or feelings about what a fair trial is? And do you think that the judge and that court can get Karmelo a fair trial and unbiased jurors that can actually stick to the facts and stick to the case? Regardless if I think I'm siding for somebody in any situation, I still want to get the facts, even in a personal situation in my own life. You know, you still want to get the potential facts. You don't want to be a person just running with like a chicken with your head off. You know, you want to get the facts of what's happening, regardless of whose side you stand on the case. And this is a very, very big case, you know. So salute to Nique at Nite for letting us know a little bit about what's going on inside the case, inside the courtroom, how they're running it. I think court, she said, was they were relieved around 2 o'clock on the first day. I don't know how the second day is going to go, but we will be shadowing Nique at Nite as well to just get her lens and her view, her paradigm on the whole situation, be it inside the courtroom or outside the courtroom. So make sure you subscribe to Nique at Night so that you get on go, because right now she's boots on the ground. Make sure you subscribe here with Uda on go, because I will be covering it. Again, I wasn't able to make it for the first week, but I am going to try to make it for the second week if I can. I think that this trial will be running on 4 weeks at least. There will be Saturday sessions as well. So that can kind of speed a case up with Saturday sessions. All right. So like I said, just make sure you're up to date. Make sure you're on go. I will try to get Nique Night on the channel on some days that she has free. It's a lot when you're covering big trials like this. You're doing your content. She's an independent journalist. She's a content creator such as myself. So any day that I could get free to speak to her about some of this, it'd probably be a potential Sunday, because they might have Saturday sessions. So I will be reaching out to Nique Night and seeing if I could bring her on the channel, because I have a lot of questions. I know some things about this case. I know a lot, but I don't know every little intricacy about the case. But I will be getting myself updated, and I will be looking forward to speaking to her as well. So I want y'all to subscribe to her channel. Make sure you get the notification bells on go. I want you to subscribe here to on go. Get the notification bells on go as well. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're sharing. But one thing I need y'all to do is get in the comment section and let me know what you feel about this case, whether you're rooting for Karmelo Anthony, whether you're rooting for Austin Metcalf's family, whoever you are rooting for in this case, because we all have some sort of a bias at some point, right? So regardless of the fact, get in the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this case, how you think that this case is going to go. What do you think the verdict's going to be? Any thoughts on this case? You are free to let your comments reign in the chat, man. Put your comments down in the chat, and I will be giving you an unbiased coverage, even though I feel my own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, because I don't know everything about the case, but just based on the things that I've heard. But once again, the judge said, forget about social media, forget about what you think you've read about this case. So now, you know, I have to wash my brain of what I've learned about this case and try to judge the case on face value of what I hear inside the court. We do know that Karmelo's side of the family is wearing purple. So if you are a Karmelo Anthony supporter, get your purple together and show your solidarity for Karmelo Anthony and his family. But all we could ask is for a fair trial. That's it. And I'm just trying to give you the facts. Regardless of what I think about this case, I'm just going to try to bring you the facts as I get them. And I'm trying to wash my brain of what I've learned about this case already. Hopefully, the potential jurors are doing the same, and just stick to the facts. That's the best way to get through a case like this. Just stick to the facts, all right? So listen, make sure y'all on go, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bells on, and make sure that you're notified when I'm dropping new content. Uda, Uda, Uda. Always on go.
All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas